legend that remained silent. The Bergmann Bayard, the forgotten titan that should have changed everything. Hello and welcome to all who have found this channel. If you, like me, believe history is not about dusty textbooks but a drama filled with intrigue, betrayal, and geniuses who were decades ahead of their time, you're in the right place. We won't just be listing dates. We are going to dive into the very heart of the Industrial Revolution, into a world where one successful invention could make a country a superpower, and one mistake could bury a genius in obscurity. Right now, you will learn the story of a pistol that was technologically superior to the legendary Mauser, chosen by real warriors, but which history unjustly relegated to the background. Why did this happen? Who was behind it? And what secrets does this steel legend still hide? Don't click away, it's about to get intense. And right away, here's my first call to action. Subscribe to the channel and write in the comments the first thing that came to your mind when you heard the phrase, Bergmann pistol. Your opinion is invaluable to me, and the most interesting comments will become topics for new deep dives. Now get ready. We are heading to the end of the 19th century, an era of steam, steel, and incredible ambition. The visionary from Gaggenau, how a vending machine gave birth to a firearms legend. Imagine Europe at the turn of the century. The world is changing rapidly. Telegraph, electricity, the internal combustion engine, assembly line production. This is an era when a fortune could be made not only on inheritance or land but on a single brilliant idea, picked up at the right time and sold skillfully. And onto this stage steps a man who is hard to call a gunsmith in the classical sense. His name is Theodore Bergmann. He did not spend nights over blueprints, nor did he get his hands dirty with gun oil. He was a different kind of titan, a business titan. His story is the pure embodiment of the American dream in German reality. Starting with managing a modest steel mill in the town of Gaggenau, he did what today would be called a rebranding and market shift. But he didn't just shift. He made a qualitative leap, relying on seemingly unrelated things. His enterprise produced vending machines and air guns. Sounds almost anecdotal? Now think about it. To create a reliable vending machine that accepts coins and dispenses goods, you need the highest precision of mechanics, fault tolerance, and mass production capability. It's a miniature clockwork mechanism operating in dirty conditions. And an air gun that already involves questions of ballistics, ergonomics, and pressure management. Bergmann, as a brilliant strategist, saw in this not two separate businesses but a unified technological base. He created not just a factory but an innovation hub where engineers could work with advanced metalworking machines, with a culture of precision and mass production. He did not invent weapons. He created the perfect sandbox in which they could be born. He was a producer, not an actor. And like any brilliant producer, he looked for talent. And he found it. Or rather, there were two of them, the watchmaker and the smith, the strange alliance that shook the world. History is often unfair to co-authors. The name of one of them has been practically erased. Otto Brauwetter, a Hungarian watchmaker. In 1892, he patented something revolutionary, a self-loading pistol mechanism. The patent was registered to the steel mill in Gaggenau. And here Bergmann steps in. He, like a hawk, buys the rights to the patent. And after that, Brauwetter disappears from the pages of history without a trace. Why? Was he a modest genius who sold his idea for pennies? Or was he removed by competitors? We will probably never know. But his idea, the soul of the weapon, fell into the right hands. The second man became someone whose name is known to anyone even slightly interested in 20th century weapons, Louis Schmeisser. If Brauwetter was the philosopher who conceived the concept, Schmeisser became its stern engineer practitioner. He took the elegant, almost jewel-like drawings of the watchmaker and began turning them into a weapon for the real world, for dirt, frost, the stress of battle, and for the factory. His task was Herculean: to simplify, strengthen, cheapen without losing the essence. The fruits of this strange tandem were the first Bergmann pistol models. The 1893 model, a complex organism with a delayed blowback system. It was loaded from the side with a 5-round clip for a proprietary 7.5mm cartridge. This was a weapon for the military. But the military, especially back then, is a conservative bunch. New, smokeless powder, complex mechanisms aroused distrust in them. They wanted time-tested reliability. The first attempt was a failure, but Schmeisser did not give up. By 1895, he rolled out a new model. Simpler, stronger, more technological. These early Bergmanns were not a commercial product but a testing ground for ideas. Every shot, every misfire provided information. It was a stage of painful but necessary maturation. They were seeking balance. What kind of action to choose? What cartridge would be both powerful and controllable? It was the prelude to the main symphony. Era analysis. Why now? Economic and historical background. To understand the scale of Bergmann's plan, we must look beyond the workshop. The late 19th and early 20th centuries were a time of an arms race, but not a nuclear one, a small arms race. Armies around the world were painfully transitioning from revolvers to self-loading pistols. A revolver, 6 shots, long reload but hellish reliability. A pistol, a magazine of 10 or more rounds, fast reload, but doubts about the automatic mechanism's function. A key player here was Germany. A young, aggressive empire united under the aegis of Prussia craved technical superiority. The state actively financed and encouraged private arms companies Mauser, Luger, Bergmann. It was healthy, brutal competition in state trials. A contract with the Kaiser's army meant not only colossal profit but also status and export potential. The whole world watched what the German army chose. Simultaneously, another revolution was underway, metallurgical and machine tool. The advent of alloy steels, new processing methods, milling, broaching, made it possible to create parts of complex shapes with previously unattainable precision and strength. Without this breakthrough, a pistol like the Bergmann would have been simply impossible. Its bolt group is the highest mathematics of mechanics embodied in steel. And Bergmann, as a man from industry, understood this better than most. Mars attacks, the peak that became the beginning of the end. By 1903, Bergmann and Schmeisser were ready. They presented to the world the Bergmann Mars, the first pistol initially tailored for army needs. It was a masterpiece. Its heart, a locking system with a movable cube-like element. Imagine, the bolt and barrel at the moment of firing are rigidly locked not by one but by a whole system of interacting surfaces, like in a perfect puzzle. This gave incredible reliability and allowed the use of the most powerful 9 by 23 mm cartridge, later known as 9 mm Bergmann Bayard. In terms of energy, this cartridge was not inferior to, and often surpassed, the cartridge of its competitor, the Mauser C96. And here the detective story begins. The Mars faced the judgment of the most demanding critics, European armies. It dueled with 2 future icons, the Mauser C96 and the Luger P08. The Spanish army, in a perpetual state of modernization, conducted extensive trials and chose the Mars. In 1905, a contract for 3,000 pistols was signed. It seemed like a triumph, a goldmine, but here lies the tragic irony of Bergmann's fate as a businessman. His enterprise in Gaggenau was an excellent laboratory, but not a mass assembly line. He physically could not fulfill an order for 3,000 units. He rushed to major German manufacturers and was refused. Why? Likely due to production jealousy, the complexity of the design, or because Mauser was already a national favorite. Bergmann found himself trapped by his own success, and he took an unprecedented step. He turned for help abroad, to Belgium. Belgian rebirth. The birth of the Bayard. Belgium was then the gunsmith's forge of Europe, and the firm Ancients Etablissements Piper, from Herstal, operating under the brand Bayard, was one of its pillars. Its owner, Henri Piper, was as much a business shark as Bergmann. He saw an opportunity in this crisis. "Yes, I will save your Spanish contract," he essentially told Bergmann. "But in return, give me exclusive rights to production and sales." Bergmann, backed into a corner, agreed. Thus, the pistol received a double surname, Bergmann Bayard, and a second life began. The Belgians did not blindly copy. They improved the German design. They added a disconnector, preventing firing when the breech was not fully closed, a crucial safety element. They strengthened the barrel, making it from a solid forging. They changed the ergonomics. The grip became more comfortable, the levers more thoughtful. They took the German intellectual diamond and set it in a more practical and beautiful frame. Spain, having received its batch with a delay, finally adopted it as the Modelo 1903/8. Meanwhile, Piper was already actively selling the commercial version all over Europe. And then a new triumph. The Danish army, conducting its own trials, chose the Bergmann Bayard. The German genius, clad in Belgian armor, had conquered the north. The Danish epic, 35 years of faithful service. The story of the Bergmann Bayard in Denmark is a hymn to reliability and rationality. World War I began. Belgium was occupied. Shipments of spare parts from Herstal ceased. What does small but proud Denmark do? It does not decommission the weapon. It sets up its own production, having bought the license. From 1922, state arsenals in Copenhagen began production of the M1910/21 model, the pinnacle of the design's evolution. The Danes made their final touches. They strengthened the extractor, replaced the barrel locking mechanism, and introduced grips made of bakelite, an advanced plastic for those times. This pistol served faithfully for 35 years. It lived through the entire German occupation of Denmark from 1940 to 1945. Imagine the steel veteran. It saw cavalry patrols, saw the first tanks, survived World War II in the hands of both Danes and likely German occupiers. And only in 1946 was it finally replaced by more modern Brownings and Walthers. Here it is, the main paradox and proof of quality. The Mauser C96 became a pop icon, a star of cinema and comics, and the Bergmann Bayard became a workhorse. It was not glorified, but lives were trusted to it. It was a weapon not for parades but for service. Defeat analysis. Why not Bergmann? So why did fame pass it by? Let's break it down. Bergmann's production weakness. His fatal inability to fulfill the very first large order undermined the pistol's reputation as a German product. The Kaiser's army looked at this and thought, but can he ensure supplies for us? The answer was obvious: complexity and price. Schmeisser's design was brilliant but complex to manufacture. The Mauser or Luger, with similar characteristics, were more technologically advanced and, prospectively, cheaper. Marketing and mythology. The Mauser, with its holster stock and long barrel, created the image of a carbine for a cavalryman, almost a mini-rifle. It was a bright, memorable image. The Bergmann Bayard was a classic pistol. It did not create such a strong myth. Historical chance. If the Spanish order had been smaller and Bergmann had handled it himself, history could have been different. If not for World War I, Belgian production could have promoted the brand more strongly. But history does not know the subjunctive mood. A legend in the shadows worth remembering. The Bergmann Bayard is not just a pistol. It is a whole philosophical treatise on innovation. It is the story of how an idea born in the quiet of a watchmaker's study passed through the crucible of Schmeisser's engineering mind, was picked up by Bergmann's strategic genius, recast in Piper's Belgian practicality, and stood the test of time in the harsh conditions of Danish service. It did not lose to the Mauser. It chose a different fate, the fate of a reliable tool, not a media star. And in that, perhaps, there is its own silent pride. The next time you see the angular Mauser in a movie, remember its quiet, mighty competitor. Remember the pistol that was better in many ways but simply didn't have as much luck with fame. Or maybe it didn't need it. Its glory lies in the shots that never failed the one who held it in their hands. That's all, friends. Did this story seem as captivating to you as it did to me? Want us to do a similarly deep dive into another forgotten legend, like the French ruby pistol or the Japanese Nambu? Then write in the comments Bergmann if you want more details on this topic, or the name of another pistol whose history is worth digging up. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Every subscription and comment from you is a signal that such deep stories are needed. Together, we will find and tell the world about all the forgotten titans of engineering thought. Until next time in the past.